King Malachi, you done know, yeah? Listen. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. You're radiant, nobody can ignore. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. Proverbs, you are 31. Baby, you a queen, I gotta set you up. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record, yeah. Beautiful Rachel, look at you better than Eve. Nobody really had you, he must have saved you from me, huh? I am Jacob, I'm working hard for your love. Tell your father I'm ready, I can't prepare with my gloves. Out the mud, we can get it together. I ain't got everything perfect, but we can make it together, huh? Pray to the Father, we never pray to the moon. We don't never use tarot cards. We pray to true and living God, that's just who we are. Our God ain't gave us no religion, so we set apart. Kinda like Levi from 11 tribes. Ark of the Covenant in our third eye. You got a mind like me, I call that bullseye. Heavenly Father, just give me a mind to concentrate. Some women you can't buy with $1, just gotta elevate. She worth more than rubies, call her a lioness. She only prays the one most high, call her a empress. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. You're radiant, nobody can ignore. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. Proverbs, you are 31. Baby, you a queen, I gotta set you up. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record, yeah. What a blessing, just to be in your presence. You equipped with many lessons. I had you before conception was made for me up in heaven. You make me what call a reverend. We should really be making love before Father start Armageddon. Do it together, we battle the weather. We better together, who can stop us? We putting power together. We reaching heavenly levels, never alone. Together we battle the devil. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. You're radiant, nobody can ignore. I gotta go talk about you when I press record. Proverbs, you are 31. Baby, you a queen, I gotta set you up. You're worth so much nobody can afford. I gotta go talk about you when I press record, yeah.
The Most High divides, but he also will bring back together for his commandments alone and go and build him a home. Only one word alone will breathe life to these bones to raise up a whole nation, covenant made with stone. That's what I got when my rib was taken and cloned. Y'all said it's no longer good for you to be lone. Hearken to my commandments, go and claim you a throne. Then maybe you could be the one that I will raise to live on. See imperfections in the past is what the Most I let slide. The hearken to every word to do was right in his eyes. Sacrifices must be made, the biggest one will be pride. Appreciate all your virtues and your patience inside. Is the beauty truly Yahweh brought forth to let shine. Every second that I'm with you like a moment in time. Yah gave me something priceless, I ain't paying a dime. And I can't wait to celebrate the day of me and my bride to say, you're my love, my everything. I love my queen, her virtuous queen for this Hebrew king. You're all that I need. Can't wait for forever to show all my love. A blessing from heaven above. In Yahweh is where we put in all our trust. Hanika horror love, Hanika horror love, this Hanika horror love. 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 Hanika horror love. We good as long as we in the Most High truth. Rockin' 3/4 of cloth, never show me your stuff off, boo. I'm a Boaz and I found me a roof. Make sure that we settin' steady what this crown gon' do. See, apologies were made before Yahweh should seek profession, testimony will prove. If you do the righteous way, that's not the way you gon' lose. If we seek the hole of the pit and the rock from where hewn, Abraham and Sarah, example of his king and his queen. So to you, I will give the nose jewels and the rings, the ornament on your ankle so your feet get your team. Besides, y'all the only one that go and get me the scene to say, you're my love, my everything. I love my queen, her virtuous queen for this Hebrew king. You're all that I need. Can't wait for forever to show all my love. A blessing from heaven above. In Yahweh is where we put in all our trust. Hanika horror love, Hanika horror love, this Hanika horror love. 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 Hanika horror love. Yeah, Hanika horror love. I am black love. I praise the Most High Yah for sending me my queen. For all the trials and tribulations we went through, we found each other. And in the 5th month, Yahweh brought us back together. He commanded the blessing, and I praise the Most High for the blessing that he sent to me. And remember, you know what? Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but the woman that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. I praise Yah for sending me my Proverbs 31. I love you, sweet, my precious stone.
Need y'all to hear me. Got a lot on my mind. Need y'all let me walk on this one. Feel me? It started from the first page, right there in the beginning. Fast forward the 2nd chapter, we already sinning. Learn the ways of good and evil, we thought we was winning. Always a serpent at your lowest to stroke your momentum. Always at the wrong time, they wait to grace you with their venom. Now we got cold hearts, didn't care that the fruit was forbidden. Bad fruit still hunting us, we sell it to our children. Who wasn't able to shake the king, who thought the rock would kill him. We chasing the fast fame, but we far from being forgiven. Too many fake embraces just to get close to you. With a knife in the other hand while approaching you. The sad part is it's usually the ones that's close to you. The Lord will sit and let his creations choose. It's a race of free will, sinners destined to lose. I set my heights for the end of days. And though I'm passionate about it, my life song has already played. We always trying to take advantage of our situations. Too many trying to cast lots on their Abrahamic sanction. Too many noses in the pot while their birthrights is dangling. Son of David's situation, the cycle's been tainted. So we try to embrace it. Sold out by own blood. You gotta get a taste of betrayal to see why Joseph up. Ignore a stab in the back, with a shoulder shrug. But my weakness, my heart, it ain't harder enough. On this song, you gotta let me walk. A lot rest on my shoulders, need y'all to hear me talk. Stay David and Jonathan, that's that loyal part. The covenant between God and man is where to start. On this song, you gotta let me walk. A lot rest on my shoulders, need y'all to hear me talk. Stay David and Jonathan, that's that loyal part. The covenant between God and man, that's where it starts. I'ma hold my head high, jump from a sinner to a winner, yeah, that's on God. Still proud my feelings for people that usually stand by. Cause that's the principles the Lord told me to stand by. Past experience told me to put my faith in no God. Cause when you loyal like a riot, they leave you out to dry. That's why I'm rocking with the youth. They got less growing pains. Pray they see us for our failures and I grow up the same. Pray my Ema see 100 in my eye brain. Hope Israel rise above all and we take back our fame. We can't see eye to eye blinded like King Zedekiah. They don't fashion the word of Yah, they focus on the tire. Gotta change the scenery, cause this grass ain't as green as it needs to be. Can't always blame those that gave in. The pressure have you playing crazy in real life like David. They fake debating and play Cain for our reparations. Mislead a generation to accept their transformation. Euthanize the growth of our minds with false information. Their operation is the basis of miseducation. On this song, you gotta let me walk. A lot rest on my shoulders, need y'all to hear me talk. Stay David and Jonathan, that's that loyal part. The covenant between God and man is where to start. On this song, you gotta let me walk. A lot rest on my shoulders, need y'all to hear me talk. Stay David and Jonathan, that's that loyal part. The covenant between God and man, that's where it starts. Gotta change the scenery, cause this grass ain't as green.
You want these off on right now?
Praise the mighty Yah. Shalom, shalom. We are back. Welcome to Seter Elyon. And today we have Marriage and Relationships presented to you by Morey Emuel, the House of Israel community. And today we bring to you episode 13. And today we're kind of going to be going over the dynamics of modern relationships. So I'm going to go ahead and let the Moray begin his introduction. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I was thinking today I thought that it was the 14th episode.
Well, I could be wrong.
Maybe I'm,
No,
but we
you're
there.
actually right. No, it is
It's
the 14th.
14th?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Hallelujah.
Yes,
Praise
sir.
the Most High. Listen, for those who have been keeping up with this podcast, we appreciate you. If you like the content, please subscribe and also make sure you share this content because we really want to get people or help people to get on the right track with their relationships. Like Kim said, that we're in the business of trying to actually help build positive relationships that will be long lasting. Matter of fact, I just sent my wife something that when I was doing some research, I found this 103-year-old man and with his 100-year-old wife on a show with Steve Harvey, and they was talking about some things, and then I saw some other older relationships. And that, by the way, this was a black couple. He was 103 and she was 100. And then I saw an older white couple. Now the black couple had been married, I think they said 86 years. 80, it was either 82 or 86 years,
That's
which,
good.
oh my goodness, that was beautiful right there. And then there was an older white couple on there as well. And so it would be a blessing if we can have things like that in our communities. So let's get started with this. Now I'm going to say some things today and I'll probably say it often that when I say that most, I might say most men or most women. You're going to hear me say most women in this country, probably a lot. Most only mean most, it don't mean all. There's always an exception to the rule. So I believe that anything that I say, the only people that will get upset or as they say now triggered are those individuals that may be guilty of the things that I'm referring to. However, if it's not you that's guilty of it, but you know someone that may be guilty of it, please don't be offended because the bottom line is we're trying to help. We're trying to, a matter of fact, also help people stay in line with what thus says the Most High Yah, right? Because we don't want to be hypocrites. We want to be those that help enlighten people so that we can have better relationships that will hopefully lead to marriage. Or if in the case of marriage already, maybe we can help straighten some things out so that people can get their marriage on track. So I'm going to make a statement right here. And let me get some input from you. My first statement is going to be women can be very delusional and believe that a man should make them happy. Now, I know we talked about this on the very last podcast. But this is huge because women are actually under the impression that it is a man's job in a relationship to make them happy. And if he can't make you happy, girl, you need to leave him and find somebody else. So that means a man would just have to be stupid if he believed that his responsibility is to make anybody happy, because the fact of the matter is we can only add to their happiness. Now, I know we talked about this before. So if you don't mind, because we might have a different audience at this particular time, just give me some honest insight on your belief on what I just said. And then you might be able to chime in as well if you have a thought on that, all right?
Should a man make his wife happy? And I know we talked about this before.
Well, let's take it even farther. Matter of fact, I don't even know if they heard me because my mic was off, but let's take it even farther. Even in the dating process, right? Even in the dating process, is it a man's responsibility? But we're talking about in marriage still, but leading up, hopefully it's leading up to a marriage. Is it a man's responsibility to make sure that that woman is happy?
I believe the first the very first obligation in a relationship, whether you're dating or marriage, is to make sure that woman needs to feel more so protected than actually happy. Um, I'll go ahead and lead with that. We don't want to base any of our relationships off of emotionalism. We want to base our relationships off of the fear of Yah, which is the law, and we want to base our relationships off of truth. So the very first thing that she should feel around this man when she's doing her vetting process is this man able to protect me on every level?
I'm going to even add to that. In a lot of cases, sometimes a man might not even understand that in that provision of protection, that he should make sure that that woman is protected even from himself. Now, and the reason I say that is because sometimes, guys may have a tendency to get allowed and maybe display a threatening behavior, even though he may not have any intentions on putting his hands on her. Right. That might not even be his nature. Oh, yeah. But in getting to know this woman, she don't necessarily know that. Mm-hmm. And see, men and women can get loud and start to get irate and whatnot. True. But a woman also needs to feel that not only is she protected, but she's safe even from him causing her any type of harm.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I was gonna say I agree with that as well. Cause a lot of men, and as far especially like young men my age deal with a lot of emotional damage from being in relationship, and they don't necessarily know how to cope with it, so they always lead themselves into destruction. Like end up getting in trouble for a lot of domestic violence cases, and it's always just not handled in the right nature or in the right way as far as the view of the Most High. You know.
Let me add this to what you just said. Unfortunately, in a lot of our communities, not only have some of our female counterparts been without a father in the home, a lot of the males grew up also without a father in the home. So if a male hadn't had a father, a strong father figure to teach him how to grow into his manhood, then most likely that man or that male, he came up knowing and being familiar with a lot of abnormalities himself. So if the woman didn't have a father figure in her life, then she has daddy issues already. And guess what? That guy has daddy issues as well. You see, so it's so imperative that in trying to build any relationship, the first thing that we need to have is our parents. Both parents would be a benefit for anybody, whether it be the woman or the man that's trying to engage in building a relationship. It's so important that they had a mother and a father in their life in the same house in most cases, so that they could see what that balance is supposed to look like.
What that balance is supposed to look like. Absolutely.
Speak on that for me, if you will, King.
Yeah, you gotta have that visual example of the interaction between a husband and a wife within your house, or even outside of your house. You need to have that example somewhere in your family, so that you can understand, not just understand and know what it's supposed to look like, so you can actually see and apprehend that. Many of us, unfortunately, are afflicted by that curse of not having our mother and our father in the same household, and it is what it is. But having that there is a blessing. I'll just go ahead and say that having that there is a true blessing.
All right, for the sake of us starting to get into a deep conversation, I'm going to make a bold and an emphatic statement. And then I'm going to look to you to see if you can tell me why I'm making a statement.
Okay.
And that statement is, again, I'm going to use not all, but most modern women today here in this country are not wife material. Now, why would I say that? Give me some insight, and then I will share with you both why I just said that.
Well, from what I've seen personally, a lot of women have been given too much say so in this society, and the reason I say that is because they've been given a lot of power from the government to really make decisions on their own when they're not actually capable or possess the maturity or wisdom and experience to actually make certain decisions on their own. I know that in the scriptures in biblical times and ancient times that the woman was always to be subject under a man and under a man's protection. So even when a man when you have a daughter, she's to live with you until she goes off and get married, so that she can always be protected by that man. And then when she goes out and she seeks marriage, that father is supposed to be the primary person in her life that's supposed to guide that relationship and actually mentor that relationship and be the one to actually find the correct man for her. Nowadays, what's going on is that, and this is happening on both man and women's side, people are just hooking up. People are just hooking up with no guidance, no counsel, no regard for the father or the mother to see what they feel about it, and it starts in the school systems. They have a little boyfriend and girlfriend. They go sneak off and have sex, go to prom and have sex, and they lose their virginity, and now their whole life has changed. A few years later, they never even interact with the man that they slept with. So to me, that's just damaging. That's not only damaging the woman, it's damaging her future household. Because that woman, obviously she's here for a reason. So the Almighty has somebody for her to get married to here in the future. But women are not, our young daughters today are not understanding that they have to value their virginity. That's so important. So when you made the statement that most modern women today are not wifey material, I totally understand where that's coming from, because the parents are being left out of her life's decisions, and she can go behind the parents' back and do what she want. You know what I'm saying? And get defended by her friends, get defended by, her aunts, whoever her family members are. I understand, baby. I lost my virginity when I was 17 too, baby. You don't need to worry about that. But what does the father have to say about that? What does the mother have to say about that actually cares about this daughter? So based on that alone, we already getting started off on the wrong foot when you talk about marriage.
It's amazing. You gave the number 17 as being an age. I've seen and know of young folks, 7th and 8th grade, which make them 12 and 13 years old, being caught having sex.
How old?
12 and 13 years of age. 12 and 13. So I know, and then when we do searches sometime and find condoms on young ladies and on the little fellas. But it's so deep, and when I said most modern women today here in the United States are not wife material, I said that because I know that a lot of them cannot and will not even take constructive criticism. When you're trying to straighten them out on some things, they won't take accountability. Now, again, I said that I'm talking about most. I'm not talking about all. There's always an exception to the rule. And most won't self-correct their own negative behaviors. Because remember, when we spoke about these abnormal behaviors that we come up with, as we're raised and we come up seeing and then being a part of these negative behaviors that we think are normal because we see it all the time. Well, again, we can never normalize something that's abnormal. So a lot of times people in relationships, and this is for some of the men as well. But now we're talking about when we're dealing with good men looking for a wife, because that's what I'm talking about. When you have a good man, because you hear all the time, ain't no more good men. Well, I know that there are a lot of good men.
Yeah.
Good men are just about everywhere that you might find women. So there are definitely good men out there. But the problem is, again, like I say, if we don't have fathers and mothers in a home raising their children together, then those children are going to come up with an imbalance.
Yeah.
They're not going to be whole, should I say. And we're going to be missing out on some things. A lot of this country has a lot of what they call baby mamas and baby daddies.
Right.
Even more so than husband and wives. Think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even more so than husband and wife. There's a reason for that.
Absolutely.
There's a reason for that. Speak on it, if you will.
I got something to say about that. So I be having my own issues as a child, a father, and with my baby mom. And the issue with that is, as far as it being the issue with co-parenting and just not being able to.
Yeah, make it voice up for.
The biggest obstacle with dealing with being a baby father and dealing with a baby mama to me and this younger generation is just people not being able to co-parent for real and not being able to step up and better themselves for the greater good for their child. It's always just something petty, or it's always somebody trying to be number one or get the last laugh or have the last punchline in this generation, which is, I feel like, is a downfall on the youth as well.
So now let me ask you an honest question, because see, we're in the business of trying to help build and show people how to build good relationships that lead into a marriage. So I want to ask you a question. And I want you to be totally honest, because again, we're trying to help people. When you laid with this young lady and y'all made a baby, were you looking for a wife, or were you looking for a good time? Was that part of hookup culture? Because hookup culture, and we're going to talk about that too, is a big problem. And guess what? The Almighty don't like it. The Almighty don't like it because we put the cart before the horse in most cases. And then that's why I just said a little while ago that we got a lot more baby mamas and baby daddies than we actually have husbands and wives that are married, raising children together in the same household. So when we have, say, like baby mama house here, and baby daddy house here, and the baby go from this house to this house, guess what? The rules are different in this house than they are in this house. So who loses? Right off the top, the baby loses, because there's no stable foundation. But I want you to speak on that and answer that question for me, if you will.
So I'm gonna answer, as far as first, like, whether if it was a hookup or
Look up now.
if it was a
You're here.
right, if it was a hookup or if I was looking for like a long-term relationship or marriage. And around the time that I, got her pregnant, I was really looking for marriage. And I was trying to, really build a long-term relationship because I felt like, it was possible with her at the time. Even though there was still some flaws that I saw in the relationship, I was still willing to work through them. That's the answer to that question. When I first had met her, we were just chatting and just friends, like, so I guess you could say as a hookup. But a few months down the line, towards like a year getting to know each other, that's when I really started to want to be in a relationship with her. But like, this generation is just like, I don't know, it's different. Like as far as the females and things like that, and they outlook and what they got their eyes set on. You know what I mean?
So now, I need to ask both of y'all a question. I know you're substantially older. You say you're 22, right? How old is your baby?
3.
Your baby's 3. So you're 18, 19 years old when your baby was born, right?
Mhm.
I first got married when I was 18 years old. And you know what I discovered? I didn't know a thing about marriage. I thought that, that you just get into a marriage and things supposed to work how they're supposed to work. But I hadn't been taught a thing about marriage because I came from a mother and a father who were constantly at it. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so trying to get out there and be a man. Matter of fact, I graduated from high school early. I was 17. I wasn't even 18. So my father signed for me so I could join the military. So I came home on leave and got married and then went back and then sent for her. And of course, that was a mess. It turned out to really be a mess because I was doing the best that I could as a young male trying to even provide. And I was doing a good job at that point because I was determined not to be, I don't want to just put anybody, I was trying to be better than what I had as an example, if you understand what I'm saying here. And so I was doing my part, but before I could get her over there, that she was discovered by my brother laying up with somebody else. And I didn't know that till later on. But sad to say, even though I did get her over there and I had a house that was off post that I had gotten for her, and a rented house. I didn't buy a house. And there were just some different things, like you had to heat the hot water up, but nonetheless, it was a house, a yard, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And I didn't get nothing but complaints. And in other words, I rushed into something that neither one of us was ready for, and she especially was not ready for that responsibility, and it did not work out at all. So I sent her back after a while when things weren't working, and she got involved with the same guy and ended up getting stabbed by another young lady in a fight over this guy. And it was just a real mess. And there's some other things, but I really won't get into that. But I had to ask you that because a lot of times we're not prepared. Because see, as young men, we have to first get ourselves established before we even get married.
Right.
See, I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know then. We should already have our own home. You see what I'm saying? Whether it's an apartment or a house or something. Maybe even get a little garden started. Have some monies already put aside. Have a good skill set. There's some things that, matter of fact, speak on that if you will, because you got married how many years ago?
4.
About 4 years ago, so you would have been there about 24. You were over 21 at that point, anyway, right?
Yes, sir.
So, but just speak on if you had certain things in place, or were you even aware that you probably were aware of certain things because I know you had a pretty good upbringing.
Right.
But that don't mean that we always retain information that we should as well. But we try to educate the people here.
Praise Almighty Yah. So one thing you said is the truth, is that a man got to have himself established. I mean, seriously, you on a whole nother level to where most men not even really taught. You got to know how to correctly groom yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know how to correctly carry yourself. Show yourself that you're a leader. Because everything you do, this woman is going to be looking at you. The minute you start falling off, that's when she going to start falling off. So learning how to be a leader is paramount to having a good marriage and relationship. And before you can lead anybody else, you got to know how to lead yourself, which means you got to have a solid foundation, a solid economic foundation, some type of skill or training, not a 9-to-5, a skill or training of some sort, and then go get a job where you have that skill or that training, so you'll never be unemployed. But just to go and get a job at Chipotle or McDonald's or Wendy's, and you trying to take on a wife, you'll be able to get a girlfriend, a little concubine maybe, but not no wife. Not no wife. You know what I'm saying? So I learned that in my earlier stages, of course, because, I entertained a relationship to where, which led to me actually being married. under the covenant of Yah, and I made great mistakes. I dived in way before I was ready. You know what I'm saying? So with all of those lessons that I learned today, I take those with me and I give people advice. The very first rule you don't want to break is moving in with a woman.
Oh,
Something I knew already. I was still, of course I was paying bills. I was the main provider in that house, but the house was not in my name. Don't matter if you're paying bills or not. That house need to be in your name. Because at any point, any given point in time, that woman can kick you out, pack your stuff up. You know what I'm saying? And we know how a woman's switch up game is cold, because they live their life in their emotions. Many women, unless they've been taught not to do that, which most women today have not been taught to not live in their emotions. They've been taught to live in their emotions, and they can do that. Free will, because God, the Almighty, don't force anybody to do nothing. And this system definitely won't force them to do nothing. But the minute you try to control her and put your hands on her, that's when you get it's over for you. So the best thing a man can do, and to all the men out there, is to have yourself together 100%. Do not get married when you're in your 20s. Unless you really about that life. Yeah.
I would have to totally 100% agree with you. I totally, at this point in my life, believe that men should not marry in their 20s, because you haven't actually had a chance to get yourself thoroughly established. You haven't caught your stride. See, a woman, now, she should be looking to get married when she's in her, say, anywhere between maybe, I'd say, 18, 19, up to maybe 26, 27 years old. Now, why do I say that? Because her beauty is going to be her asset, her biggest asset, along with her virginity. Mostly important, her virginity. You want to have that intact. But men, because we're visual, most men want something that what they call fine. She looks good. Me personally, I'd rather have something that's not hard on the eye, that look, she's nice looking, but what's inside, that's what I really look for, because age and experience has taught me that you can have a woman who looks good, but that mouth will be so destructive. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying in all cases, but I'm saying with modern women today, I will say in most cases, because anytime a woman knows that she's looking fairly good, she's going to have a lot more people, a lot more guys in pursuit of her. So therefore, she's going to believe that she has more options. But let me explain what I mean by options. She's only going to have options of those she can choose to lie with. She has no options when it comes to marriage unless someone has actually proposed to her and asked for her hand in marriage. See, and that's where a lot of women get things wrong. They think that they have options because a lot of guys are pursuing them, but that don't mean those guys are pursuing them for marriage. Am I making sense? And see, what I was saying is it takes a guy a while to get himself established, because he needs to start making his money. He needs to hone in on his skills and things. So, and women tend to mature faster, but like I said, it takes a man a while longer to get his stride, so he's on the road of making money. And you said something that was paramount. It's not good just to have a job. If you have a skill, then you'll always have a job. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's a lot different than a lot of guys say, like if they were a carpenter, a plumber, or electrician, or they had something that there's a constant need for, that's going to be a benefit. And especially if they're good with their hands. Myself, I wasn't aware of that when I was 18 years old and then called myself getting married. You see what I'm saying? So even at that point in my life, even though I thought that I was on track, if I'm honest with myself, at 18 years of age, I was definitely not ready to be someone's husband. I wasn't mature enough.
And I think you bring out a good point, because I think a lot of times our heart may be in the right place when it comes to relationships. But the Almighty, he already gives us the guidelines on how to conduct these things. So even if you're missing the mark, you may be hitting the mark in this area. But if you missing the mark, you said what? So, like I said, I think in many cases, our heart does be in the right place in these relationships. Our heart be in the right place when it comes to relationships most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If a man is seeking to be married early, there's nothing wrong with that per se. You just have to make sure you cover every area. You're ready to take care of this woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how to be a leader. You're ready for children. You have a house. If you feel all these things and you say you 24, 25, I mean, you got my blessing, but make sure you hit every area, right? Because just cause your heart may be in the right place doesn't mean you're not going to fail. You know what I'm saying? So the Almighty, he gives us the prescriptions and the guidelines on how to be successful in our marriage. And another thing, you have to command your house. So to go back to your point about most women today are not ready for marriage. Most women today from that age bracket, you said from 18 to 27, how many of them are ready to actually receive orders from a man willingly? And then not only receive orders, but also be an asset to him. So in areas where he's falling short, that woman's supposed to have the insight to say, hey, my man is falling short in this area. He don't even have to ask me. Let me just go ahead and do it. That's A plus. That's an A+ relationship. Go ahead.
I told you, you were wise beyond your years. And see, that is so true. Because again, when a man marries a woman, that woman should actually be that man's helpmate. Now, I've heard women over the course of my years, even talking to other women or talking in general, and I've heard women say to other people, yeah, I have him trained. So let's say the way it really should be. When a man takes a wife and that wife becomes that man's helpmate, then she should be ready to receive instruction from her husband on the ways that he needs her to help him, right? So now if you want to use the word trained, because that's what women do, I don't want to put it that way, but I'm going to say that a wife needs to be willing to accept instruction from her husband and not be combative or argumentative about those instructions. Now, I'm sure he's not going to put nothing just really ridiculous on her. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She should be willing to take those instructions. And even if there's something that he leaves out that she sees that needs to be done that he hadn't had an opportunity to get to, if she's his helpmate, they're working as a team. Sort of like Team Israel. That's what I call my household, Team Israel. So we're all supposed to be working. And even when the children are old enough to have their chores, they know what they're responsible for doing because that father gave them instruction on the things that they need to do. And if the father didn't give them the instruction, then mom gave them instruction. You know, that might be what a daughter washes the dishes on this day and that day. And the son, he cleans up the living room and makes sure that the garbage is out and certain things. You see what I'm saying? But everything has to work as a unit. And unfortunately, because a lot of times, again, single parent households is devastating relationships that follow behind that mother and father relationship that didn't work out the way that it should have. It's devastating because, again, the children, whether it be the son or the daughter that wants to get into a relationship, they don't even know how to begin that relationship, let alone sustain it. Do you see what I'm saying? And relationships take a great effort. We can't take relationships lightly, especially, and again, I got to say this. The vast majority of times, in my opinion, we do things but backwards because a lot of times, in not all cases, but in a lot of cases, the baby comes before the marriage.
Yeah.
The baby comes before the marriage, and then a lot of times the baby may come, but the marriage may never come. See, and we may have had conversations, or people may have had conversations, or maybe they didn't have a conversation talking about marriage, because hookup culture is a big thing now.
You know, I want to go ahead and stick up for the fathers out there, the fathers that are not in relationships with their mothers. One of the things that takes place, especially with black men in this country, is that we cannot assert ourselves as the head of our house, and therefore our children are affected by this. Women do not have to listen to us. Literally, they don't. They can go and do whatever it is that they want, and the system is going to back them up.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, the media is going to back them up. Podcasts are going to back her up. Facebook is going to back her up. Grandmother, grandmom, auntie, friend, girlfriends are going to back them up. Fathers that even don't know the law, that don't even know, can't conceptualize who the Most High really is. I'm sticking up for them right now, because the communication, the communication error between the black man and the black woman is not necessarily all the black man's fault. And the reason why these relationships are not working is not always the man's fault. You understand what I'm saying? He just has to understand, he has to always take the higher road here in Babylon, in the land of our captivity.
Absolutely.
Once you understand you have to take the higher road, you almost can't fail. Because at that point, it's about you controlling your spirit, because you're not going to be able to, it'll be a blessing if you can come across a woman who will willingly submit herself to you and submit under the laws of Yah. But in most cases, that's not happening. So that means you got to have yourself together as a leader 100% together. And you have to understand that women by nature, as Elder always says, are hypergamous, meaning you have to be constantly evolving and bettering yourself as a man, because there's always somebody out there to take what's yours. You know what I'm saying? And if that woman ain't rooted in Yah, it can easily happen. But relationships today, man, it's, we have a communication problem. We do. And we can't have those hard communications between a man and a woman, because the woman don't have to listen to you. She don't. But, the best thing that we can do as men is just, and Morey Elisha taught us this. He said, a man has to lead by example, but you cannot force a woman to follow you. She has to literally want to follow you, and she has to want to follow the Creator first. So, it's a sad situation that we live in. And I just hope people wake up to it, wake up to what's going on. Yes, sir.
So, what's y'all, advice on, dealing with a baby mother, that for one, let me see.
Look up.
I'm trying to think. For one, doesn't necessarily follow the Creator's, or His law. And, two, just one, that is, defiant and, always give you issues, women that you guys are speaking on. Like, how do you go about, dealing with that?
I got you. Well, here's the thing. You should never get involved with just any woman. See, and again, guys are visual. They see her and see, oh, I want her. I want, but they don't really have marriage on their mind at that particular time. And the bottom line is, when you get with a woman and you haven't established a relationship with her, like becoming friends with her first and having conversations so you can find out who this woman is and what she's about. And likewise, she can do the same thing with you. I was told by a young person years ago that all you got to do is tell a woman that she's cute and she's ready, especially if she think the guy is cute. You know what I'm saying? And this was from somebody, a youth that he was, a teenager at the time that used to go to our class.
There's some truth to that.
You see what I'm saying? And if you tell her she's cute and she think you're cute, boom, y'all off to a little start right there. But the bottom line is, that's destructive. That's destructive, because when you when you go about doing something in the wrong way, it's always going to fail for the most part, especially things like this, because this is a violation of the Almighty's laws. See, a man is always going to want to be right in his own eyes. A man will, and a woman will always justify their actions, but that's not going to make it right. And it's not going to make their situation turn out the way they want to just because they want it to turn out a certain way. That's not. In most cases, a person's going to end up paying the cost for that mistake. That's why it's a good thing to learn the ways of the Creator. Most of the women in this country, think about what I'm getting ready to say, whether they're black or white. But right now, I'm more concerned about people who look just like you and me. But whether they're black or whether they're white, most of the people in this country are not considering the Almighty's laws. Most of the people in this country, when it even comes to marriage and relationships, most of them have a modern mindset. But check this out. Most of the females, especially that look like you and me, from what I'm seeing, is they want a modern woman wants a modern minded man, because again, most men and most women, if they're not in line with the Creator, are going to have a modern mindset, but that modern woman want that modern man to act in a traditional way, but that woman don't want to be in a traditional way. So how is that a benefit to the man? Now, tradition means about a man, according to the law, like he's supposed to take care of the food, the clothing, the shelter, and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? Well, if a woman wants a man, and I've seen some women, a bunch of women, matter of fact, when you get online, say, ain't no way they can even go 50-50 with a man. They say he's got to pay all of the bills. do some research and it will make you laugh. You know, and they are really delusional because they want a man like a modern woman wants a man to go out and be a traditional man and pay for all of the dates and take her here and buy her this. And she wants all the things. And this is even while dating. She wants all the things that a traditional wife should get from that traditional husband. But she's not a traditional woman herself, even in that marriage. Her mindset isn't even on anything traditional. You have women that will shame other women for cooking for their husband. You have women that will shame other women for being submissive to their husband. And then women like that who will do the shaming wonder why they can't find a man, because they're not good women. See, they're talking about ain't no good men, and they're good men all around. But the problem is, when you have people in general, whether it be a male or a female, and they all have a modern mindset, the man and the woman are going to be lost, especially when it comes to marriage. And I know this because it seems like every single guy that I talk to, especially when they tell me they're getting ready to get married to something, they don't have a clue about what marriage really is and the part that they actually have to play. You see, and trust me, I talk to enough guys, and believe it or not, just about 100%, I would say 100% of the guys that I talk to are experiencing the same identical situations as the next man that's dealing with in relationships, and they're not even married yet. But some of them are married. The fewer are married, but all of them are experiencing the same situations, because I just have to say feminism done a heck of a job on our women. But not only that, I need y'all to understand something. When you have females say, you're what, 28 now, 27?
About to be 28.
Okay, about to be 28. So say the average 27, 28-year-old woman. In most cases, it's unfortunate, but I can make this statement. And most women, if they're going to be honest, most of them at that age, then they got a lot of bodies up under them. They got a lot of bodies up under them. But here's what they don't understand. Every time a man has deposited in them, he's put his DNA in them. So it alters their personality. right? And the more men that a woman actually lays with, it's going to be very difficult for this woman to pair bond with anybody. That's the beauty of a woman being a virgin. She don't have to be worried about or even considering comparing the man that she's with any other man, because she hasn't been with any other man.
Right. Yeah.
But if you have women and unfortunately men and women get involved in situations like that, where this man, he done got a bunch of women up under him and he hasn't never been married, and she's got a bunch of men up under her and she's never been married. A lot of times they don't realize that's going to cut down on their chances of even ever getting a husband. Do you see what I'm saying? And when women say, like I say, feminism really done a job on our women. When women say that they want to be equal to a man, they don't want to be equal to a man when it comes time to paying those bills. Because like I just said, they don't even want to go 50-50.
Right.
They want that man to provide for them even in dating, but don't even necessarily want to cook and don't want to be submissive. Right. So you see, there's a problem right there. How can you have a successful marriage if only one person is going to be held accountable? Because trust and believe that woman is going to hold that man accountable. But the woman don't want to, in most cases. Again, I got to say that, ladies, if you're watching. And y'all can agree in most cases, because you know your female friends and you know people that surround you don't want to be held accountable. And then I can tell you some other things, and we're going to get into that. But what do you think about what I just said? Give me some input. When I just said that the more guys that a woman lay with, right? Mm. They're depositing their DNA in her, which is going to alter her personality. And let me tell you some other things that you guys may not have even considered that alter a woman's personality. The Almighty said he took certain things away from our women, right? And I'm not going to say this in a negative way, because some people, if a person's going to do what they want to do and they're totally free to do that. But I notice in some cases, let me put it that way, and some being a lot, because I'm around it often, especially in the school system with our young females and even some of the older ones. When they put on a wig or a weave, you know what I notice? Their whole personality changes according to that wig or that weave. And when they put on the nails, they start to get extra. They put on the eyelashes. They take on the personality. And I want y'all to start paying attention when you see stuff like that. When they put them eyelashes on, they put them daggone fingernails on, they put the wig or the weave on and makeup on, they transform into who they believe that character or the character of the weave is or whatnot. Right? But that personality stays the same. Matter of fact, it gets a little bit worse, because they be thinking that they're really fine then, but let you go put on a toupee or something. If you had a bald spot or a bald head or something, they're going to talk about you. Right? You see what I'm saying? And then here's the thing. They get lost. Our women get lost. And again, I got to keep saying this. I am not talking about all of our women, but I am, in fact, talking about most. Do you see what I'm saying? I agree. When that personality completely changes based on what they're wearing, but yet and still a lot of them say, I ain't doing this for no man. I'm doing this for me. Mm-hmm. When they just stand in the house, they don't care how they look. But when they going out in the public eye, you know, I see young girls, you know, they always got a brush in their hands. Always. But then I see guys too, when they got their little do-rags off and they got their little brush, they trying to make sure they weave is right. You see, so I get amazed at some of the things that I actually do see.
I'm gonna chime in on what you said.
Please do.
In Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Well, let me first acknowledge my sister Nayari. Shalom. She says, Scripture says the heart is full of deceit. So no, we shouldn't base our relationships on emotions. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you for that wisdom. I was going to just bring out a precept. She also said, I don't think it's feminism. I believe it's the bad choices made on both men and women.
Okay.
Hallelujah. So I wanted to bring out Deuteronomy 23:17. It says, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel. So as we can see, the Almighty set our standard up very high. And unfortunately, we've been learning from the ways of the heathen. And of course, there's been great conspiracies to actually control our people through media, through school systems, so on and so forth. The usual things that we talk about, even social media nowadays, are programming people as well as you scrolling, programming, subconscious. So, but when we go back to the law, it says there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, meaning that a woman is supposed to go from under her father straight into a marriage. There's no cutting any corners in the eyes of the Almighty. And those that don't, just know you're going about your life the wrong way, according to the Most High. So we need to get back on track on having more arranged marriages, having more, the fathers and the parents having more of a say so of who this son or this daughter, because even my son I ain't gonna allow my son to even just go with any woman. You know, we should place just as much protection as we do of our daughters and over our men as well. Because a man should stay pure as well. He should not be out whoremongering. I don't want to see my son out here whoremongering, just going inside anything. You know, I want to see my son, first of all, get himself together, then go out and find a wife. But to be there, we need to be there. We need to be present in our children's life. And even if you co-parent with a person with a man that don't know the Almighty, don't exclude him from the situation either. You know what I'm saying? Just because a person that don't know the Almighty, or just because you don't, as a mother, you don't have a good relationship with this father. No, you still involve that father in those decisions. Hey, look, our daughter, she got a little boyfriend. I need you to talk to him. I need you to talk to her and the man. We need to do what we need to do to work together, because let's say me and you, let's say the relationship between a man and woman, it don't work out. Okay, it don't mean the child has to suffer. We need to get along. As a matter of fact, we need to make sure that we make a greater effort to get along now that we are not together, so we can set a good example for this child. But all parties, being the father, especially the father and the mother, need to be directly involved when it comes to the relationships of those children. And it starts in middle school. It starts as early as middle school. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I definitely want to respond to what you just read by way of the law.
Yes, sir.
And read that one more time, and then I'm going to respond to make sure that people really understand what you just said.
This is Deuteronomy 23:17. It says, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel.
Okay, I want to speak on the daughters for just a second here, because I was listening to a conversation a few years back, and it was two females talking, and one of the females said to the other, I ain't no whore. I only do one man at a time. Well, that let me know she didn't know what a whore actually was. According to the law, a whore is any woman who has sex with a man that is not her husband. So again, when I say all this hookup culture is destroying the people, and they don't realize that men and women are losing value. They're losing value even in the sight of the Most High, because he's the one who gave us those instructions. And our disobedience will, in fact, bring us to our own destruction. Again, a whore or a harlot is any woman that is not married to that husband. If she's willfully, I'm not talking about in the case of a rape or something like that. I'm definitely not talking about that. But any woman who willfully engages in sexual intimacy with a man that is not her husband in the sight of the Most High is playing the role of a whore, and that man is playing the role of a whoremonger. Do you agree with what I just said?
Oh yeah, I agree. Like I said, it ain't no cutting corners when it comes to y'all. His system is perfect. And as a matter of fact, he said, don't add unto the law nor diminish all from it. So, I would never make the Almighty wrong to make myself right. And, we've all been, I know I've been, there's been times I've broke the law. I done did things out here that I shouldn't have did. And, maybe I shouldn't have did. We only hurt ourselves when we go against the laws of Yah. And when you know better, you do better. Praise Yah.
Oh, hallelujah. I got to make another statement here. A lot of our modern women today don't even have a real commitment to a man, just one man, even while in the dating process. And likewise with the men. People saying, well, just in case this don't work out, I'm going with this one right here, or I got another one in the chamber, so to speak. You young folks call it a roster. Well, see, here's the thing. How are you going to give somebody a good chance to find out what they're really about if in fact you have a roster? That means the person with the roster is not wholly committed. Do you see what I'm saying? We tend to want to have an option if that don't work out. Well, how can you find out wholly what that's about if you're not going to commit wholly to it? If you're going to have divided time, well, I'm a date her today, but then I'm going to be with this one later on. And then this one I'm going to have later on the tonight. And I'm going to see just which one is better for me. That's confusion in itself.
Yes, sir. And I'm glad you had brought that out because, I experienced something like that. And my advice to anybody, don't try to wife up no hoe. Because that's a hoe. If that woman can't give you her full attention and she got other men she dealing with, you don't know what they doing. And more than likely, if she don't know y'all, you know what's up. But if she got a roster, or she talking to this dude and this dude and this dude, and then you so-called competing for this woman, you competing for a hoe. That's how low our men have fallen.
Let me say this. Let me say this here. And see, that's on both sides because we got a lot of whores and we have a lot of whoremongers. And the whoremongers are the ones who get the women to play the part of the whore. So men have to be even more accountable because men should know that women, they pretty much work on their emotions. And see, men know how to manipulate women as well as women know how to manipulate men. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we all have to play our role if we want to be right in the sight of the Most High. I'm going to say this here. Why y'all think so many women are single? Now, I'm talking about in the case of when they're dealing with a good man. When you have so many women that are still single that have not even been proposed to. Say if a man starts to date a woman, he's not trying to be intimate with her, but he's trying to learn who she is. He's having conversations. He's taking his time. He want to learn what she's about, if she's willing to take instructions from a man. A lot of times our women, they don't know how to dialogue properly with a good man. Because they're so used to the Pookies and the Ray Rays and things like that. They don't know how to have good constructive conversations. When a man is asking very specific questions, and a lot of times a woman don't want to answer certain questions. It might even be a man who might, like if he's really considering a woman for wifey material. And he's seen that he liked this area about her, he likes that area about her. He might ask her a question like, because he may want to know, and I can't blame him. You say, well, what do your body count look like? If she gets defensive and say, well, why do you need to know all of that? Then leave her alone because first of all, just saying that is going to let him know for the most part, it's a high body count. You see what I'm saying? Because the average person who don't know this, if it was like 2 or 3, honestly, then she would probably say 2 or 3. Right. You see what I'm saying? But nowadays, and I said this before, and I think I may have said it during this podcast, from what I'm seeing, the average, say 28-year-old, She's laid with a lot more men than the average 50-year-old.
True that.
You see, a lot more.
These women nowadays,
And then they have no shame about it. But we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. And see, we can, when I ask this question, why do you think that so many of our women are not married? They self-sabotage. They self-sabotage. Our black women are so combative. If you have standards, they're going to look at you like something's wrong with you.
Like, what's wrong with you?
If you have, and see, the best thing that I can advise anybody to do is when you think that you want to investigate to find out about a person. In other words, spend some time with it because you let them know that you're interested. You want to let this young lady know you're interested in her. You have to see if she knows how to listen. Just like when she's talking, you have to know how to listen, because if you're listening, you're probably going to get everything that you really need to know about her. But she has to be able to listen, especially if you're trying to establish some boundaries. So in other words, we want to get to know one another, but let me tell you my deal breakers, right? And so you're explaining certain things. If she wants to get argumentative because she don't agree with certain things, then right off the top, she's letting you know she is not the one for you.
Dang.
Right? If you're saying, well, this particular thing here, I definitely will not deal with. In other words, like if you're seeing me, you can be having intimate conversations even with other guys.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Man.
I need exclusivity. I need that. If she's not willing to give you exclusivity, then leave her alone. She is not going to be one for you.
Absolutely. Great advice. Great advice. The only way I will allow exclusivity is if I knew I didn't have myself together and I still wanted to talk to her and get to know her. I'd be like, cause I'm not a jealous man. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? The only woman I'm jealous about is my wife or my fiance. You know what I mean? If she's not one of them, I'm not jealous. I don't have a reason to, cause you're not mine. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I'll allow a woman to be like, okay, if I know I don't have myself 100% together, I know I can't give, cause one thing that men do, we have a habit of wasting women's time. Don't waste a woman's time. If you know you ain't got yourself together and you know you're not ready for marriage or for this woman to be betrothed to you publicly to say, this is my woman, don't waste her time. Let's let another man have her. You know what I'm saying? But if you're demand exclusivity, if you know that, hey, I'm serious about this, I want you to be my woman. And as a matter of fact, while we're talking, while we're recording, you cannot deal with another man in no type of way, unless it's your father, your cousin, a family member, something like that. But fellas, demand exclusivity. But if you don't have yourself together and you know you're not serious about, I'm not even going to say you're not serious about wifing a woman up, but you know that you're not capable of doing that right now. Don't waste her time. Be her friend, get to know her still, and allow her to talk to her. Let her be free.
Good.
I just want to briefly touch on what you said. Being in relationships, like life don't come with relationships. That's like something I feel like it's is an addition. As far as, gaining a relationship and marriage, would y'all like agree with that?
Say it again.
As far as having a relationship and marriage, I don't think like life doesn't guarantee you that. Like, the Most High guarantee you like a breath and to live, to breathe and things like that. But as far as a relationship and a woman, in your life, and you to die with marriage, it's not guaranteed. But and I want to touch on what you said. If you're not ready to be with a woman, just leave her alone. Being in a relationship, and as far as having a good relationship comes with certain sacrifices that needs to be made. Like, as far as sacrificing your time, building your character and, respecting, boundaries, like, Moray Yim just said.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question just to give you an idea of what you may be stepping into when you look for a relationship. There are certain women who say they require certain things from a man to date them, right? And I want you to tell me, is this woman marriage material? I'm just going to give you a description of something that's very real. When a woman says that if you're dating her, that she needs to be taken care of, and she wants you, no, this is serious, and she wants you to at least take care of her hair and her nails. Is that, even if you're planning on, if you like her, right? Even if if you have boundaries, you have boundaries. But if a woman insists that if you want to date her, you need to at least take care of her hair and her nails, and she likes to get her hair done at least every 2 weeks. She likes to get her nails redone every 2 weeks, and maybe help out with some groceries. Is that a woman that you would even consider dating? Yes or no?
I'm gonna speak, since I'm the youngest in the room, and it's like dealing with, we dealing with a whole new different ball game as far as women. I don't think I would actually, tolerate as far as someone just like bringing forth like straight, like, what do you want to call them?
A gold digger?
Yeah, like you can call them gold digger, and straight, like, I don't want to say entitlements, but that's kind of what it is, like, entitlements. As far as part of relationship, like saying that you have to be obligated, no, obligations. That's the word that I was looking for. Coming forward with straight obligations just out of the blue when you purchase, get to know her. As far as like having to spend money on her, and her not being able to take care of herself.
Hold that thought for a second. I still want you to answer this question.
Okay.
Say 2 months into the relationship. No, let's make it a month. Well, she didn't really got you hooked on her because she's rubbing your shoulders and you're so cute and everything. Whatever. Is that your response? Is that something that you'd be willing to do a month into the relationship? Because, and the reason I say this, because a lot of guys don't know when they're being played for a step. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times a woman will give you time to get in the door real good. Sometimes, depending on the woman, they might say something off the top, which she already telling you who she is. But a lot of times, a woman might let you get into their relationship. She might even throw something on you. You see what I'm saying? Can sort of get you hooked in there. And then within the first few weeks, she gonna spring on you. Not necessarily in the way telling you that it's a demand or something, but try to get you to sweet talk you and just start to take care of her hair and her nails. Right? And once they go from the hair to nails, when you start doing that, then she start needing little groceries in the house. Then she start needing gas money. Do you see where I'm going with this? Oh, yeah. But a lot of guys, they're not hip to that game. See, women are the kings, or the queens, should I say, of manipulation. Again, ladies, I'm not talking about all, but I am talking about some, and y'all know I'm telling the truth. Now, also, you get some guys that just ain't right. Some guys might just want to move in with her, have a place to stay, because he ain't got no real place to go or anything. But she goes, no, he ain't got no money because he ain't even got his own place. But he might be providing something else that they like. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times, and it seems like it's fun, but a lot of times people go into relationships and they have motives.
Right.
And we need to try to teach our men and our women how not to go into any type of relationship with a hidden motive.
Right.
Because it's not going to turn out the way they wanted to turn out. So respond to what I just said.
You don't want to solely base your relationships off transactions. That's not a strong foundation to base any relationship on. You want to base the relationships on character. How is this woman when I'm not around? How is she to herself when I'm not around? But basing your relationships on transactions, it's not the way to go. I've experienced it. I've been on both sides of it. I know how to properly identify it now, as he said. Like, a lot of times we as men, we don't understand the game. You know what I mean? Like, and this is a woman, I ain't gonna say, just put it like this. All right. She knew better, right? You know what I'm saying? But she tried to finagle or finesse me a little bit into paying for something, right? I ended up getting the money back. But still I sawed at her like, dang, what she think I am? Like, she think I'm a simp or something? You know what I mean? And this is a woman that knew better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like we as men, we have to be on the lookout, guard yourself from women like that. And that those are women that are and she was a very beautiful woman too. Very beautiful woman. But you said the correct word, entitlement. A lot of women, because they feel like they're beautiful, they feel like they're entitled to a man's wallet or a man's resources when they're not his wife or his woman. You get it? So I think you brought out a valid point with that. We as men, we have to be on guard for that. You don't want that type of woman. Yeah, go ahead.
I 100% agree with what you said. And to answer your question as far as being a month in dealing with a woman, it depends on the scenarios. Like, you know, say your situation down bad and you got a woman, which is really rare, like, and you meet her and she's helping you your situation out and things like that. I don't see no wrong in returning a favor like within a month and someone genuinely open heartedly helps you out. But as far as in a month and ain't nobody help you out, ain't nobody bring, you know, the woman didn't bring anything to the table, then offer any common courtesy towards you, or you know, or then make it seem like you was in her best interest. I don't think it's you know, smart to do anything like within the first month as far as like hair and nails and things like that.
Let me say this. Our men, before you even enter into any kind of relationship, self-examine yourself.
For real.
Do some self-correcting, some things that you know is not necessarily good. And likewise for the women. Before you enter into a relationship, if you want to give that relationship a chance to grow into something, hopefully that would lead that man to want to marry you. Because again, I can't say this often enough, because I've heard so many women over the course of time tell me that they have options. But when I ask, have any man ever asked you to marry them? Have any man actually proposed? I can see the look on their face before they give me that lying answer. I can see the look because they don't know that I'm getting ready to ask that. No, women have options of who they will lay with, right?
Right.
But who determines if a woman gets married? That man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm about to say
That man determines if that woman if he's going to marry that woman.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've seen, even in doing my research here online, and you can find this kind of stuff out there too. Sometimes a woman will try to give a man an ultimatum. Either she's going to leave the relationship if he don't marry her. And you know what happens in every single case that I've seen? The woman be threatened that she's ready to leave and she's packing up her stuff and go. And this last one that I looked at, when she was putting her stuff in the car, he came and helped put that bag in there and told her to be safe. Have a safe trip. You see what I'm saying? And she was bluffing. She was bluffing. But see, a lot of times people, you know, they try to force somebody, and you can't force a relationship. If you want to have a good relationship, it has to come together naturally. Anything forced ain't for you,
Right.
regardless of what part it's on.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask you this here, or say this, should I say? When a man is looking at a woman and he's looking at her for a possible marriage, it's so important to find out early before he wastes a lot of time. Is this a woman who will follow my leadership? So that's why you have to have those serious conversations, because a lot of people, they even get into relationships as boyfriend, girlfriends, but they haven't had the type of conversations to find out about one another, what they like, what they don't like, what they will do, what they won't do, how into the relationship itself. How into it are you? Are you hoping that this relationship leads into a marriage? Or in fact, are you ready for marriage? Do you see what I'm saying? What's your plans about, should we be intimate and then make a baby? How do you feel about how many babies do you think you would like to have? You see, it's so many things that people actually forget to have conversations about because they're so into the way another person look. That's just like with any new relationship. It's like, it's a brand new feeling. You know what I mean? You got that little tingle on the inside. You can't wait to see it. She can't wait to see you if it's real. And then a lot of times it ain't even real, but she can't wait to see it because she knows she can finesse you. You see what I'm saying? And likewise, sometimes this guy, he can finesse her. So I got to keep it real on both sides. So that's why, again, men, please work on yourself. Be honest. Women, be honest. Work on yourself. A lot of times, ladies, you will get into an argument with a man because he wants you to accept accountability. But yet you want to hold that man accountable. And that man should want to be held accountable. He should tell you, make sure you hold me accountable because I'm going to make sure I hold you accountable. Because together we're supposed to be working as one, right? Even though you got two different, completely individuals, the goal in that relationship, especially if it's leading towards a marriage, is to work in unison like you're one because you have the same goal, right? But a lot of times it don't work out that way. Let me ask you a question. In marriage, see, a lot of times a man has a certain responsibility in a marriage, right? So if a man has a responsibility, he should willfully take on and be glad to take on that responsibility. Should it be the same way with his helpmate?
Oh, you better believe it. You better.
Should she be happy to hold up to her responsibility?
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you, is sex a responsibility in a marriage for a man and a woman? So in other words, a man has a duty of marriage. Do that woman also have that duty of marriage? And then not only that, I got to make a statement. If that woman is not really into you and that sexual part of that relationship, if she feels like it's a chore and not her joy, a man is actually going to be able to tell that right off the top, right? So if it becomes a chore, or if it's a chore, would that indicate that she's really not into you, that maybe she wants to use your resources?
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You already know where I'm going, so speak on that. Speak.
And I think that's beautiful that you said that, because don't deprive a man of sex. Period. If you married to this man, he taking care of you. He looking out for you. You know what I mean? He's doing his obligation as a man. Man, you better, man, listen. Come on now. Make love to that man. Don't deprive him of sex, because if you do, he gonna go out and get it from somebody else. You pushing him away into the arms of another woman. So, that's a wicked thing. You know what I mean? Why should it be a chore? And this man literally, he taking care of you. He done took you into his home. He done trusted you with his seed. He teaching you about the laws of Yah. He making sure he care about your salvation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's terrible, man. You know what I mean? That's terrible. You know, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I done kind of dealt with a situation like that before. And that's how I knew the woman wasn't into me, though. You know what I'm saying? That's figured out the woman wasn't into me for real. But I had to come to my realization of that on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. I deserve that. This my woman. You feel me? That's my woman, man.
Let me say this. When a man is really more into a woman than she is to him, he will put up with a lot more because he's really into her and hoping that things will change. But like I say, I talked to a lot of guys, and I wrote this down because I really wanted to remember to put this in this particular podcast here, because I need women to understand this, that sex is extremely important and it's a responsibility in marriage. When it's deemed to be a chore by the woman, because a lot of times when women get that ring, and a lot of guys will attest to this, things start to fall off. Things start to fall off. And the guy be wondering, what happened to the woman that I married? Where did she go? But let me read this the way I wrote it down. It says, sex is an extremely important responsibility in marriage, and when it's deemed to be a chore, both parties lose. Wives rob their husband of joy and feminine sexual intimacy. No wonder black men are getting tired of dealing with women like this. And it's a lot of guys literally complain about this and don't understand why it fell off. Women that have withdrawn from sex in their marriage, that sees it as a chore, they don't have no real integrity in her responsibilities of marriage to her husband. Because see, here's the thing: you want to be with somebody and you know they have good integrity, but when it becomes a chore, then you have to decide or understand how she's actually feeling about you, because something has actually fell off. And actually, a lot of times, and you need to understand this, even in boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, which I'm not condoning those boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, a lot of times a woman will do something that she don't understand that will wreck her relationship. But I'm especially talking about marriage here, okay? Because we want to keep it right in the sight of the Almighty. When a wife withholds sex from her relationship, that's also what women use as a punishment, because they're upset with you and they can't necessarily get their way or didn't get their way about a particular thing. But it's a punishment. But not only is it that, it's also, men see it as emasculating. Because see, anytime that a woman say she takes sex from you, right? That's something that a man needs. And that's one of the benefits of a man having a wife. So not only when she holds, she's taking away that benefit that man should be receiving from his wife, right? When she withholds affection. You see, like a lot of times, when things are right, she might be like just rubbing on you, got her arms, I want to hold your leg, or hold your hand all the time. You know when your woman's really affectionate with you, when she's not. You see what I'm saying? Men who are in good relationships, they know those things that's pleasing. They know those things. They know, I got her, she got me. But when either party backs off, the other party, they recognizes that right away. So in a way of a man feeling emasculated by his wife, is because say she shows a lack of appreciation. Right? Well, she used to say, hey, baby, I appreciate that. Thanks, baby. That's how, and then it gets to the point where you do something, okay. And then when the man go to feeling like he's more tolerated than appreciated.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's because when you're with somebody for a period of time, you start to feel their energy. So when their energy is off.
Oh, yeah.
And any man who has been in any relationships over a period of time, he can tell what that woman is thinking a lot of times. But even still, that woman expects that man to be a mind reader. You don't have to be a mind reader, because our energy Your woman will get to know your energy. She can tell when your energy is off.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
She better be able to tell your energy off.
You see what I'm
Real
saying?
talk.
So
Yeah.
that's the time when you, like you would say, real talk. That's when conversations should be had. Hey, baby, everything all right? What's going on? I noticed that the energy is a little different today, or the energy is a lot different today. You know, certain things like when you start being disrespected a lot. Now, I'm the type of person I would tell anybody, if I could only have one of the two things, whether it be love or respect, I'll take respect every day. I'll take respect every day. I'm gonna let you speak on that, but let me say this here. And the reason I'd rather take respect any day is because a person can say they love you and mistreat the heck up out of you. But ideally, you know, when somebody respects somebody, they want that person that they respect to see them at their best. They're going to give that person that they respect, like if it's an elder or somebody, it ain't even got to be enough, just somebody that you admire, you respect. You ain't going to let them see you in a bad way. At least you're going to try to avoid them seeing you in a bad way. But you can have a person that say they love you, cuss you out, disrespect you, do all kinds of things. So as a man, you should always choose respect, because then you don't have to worry about just being tolerated. At that point, you know you'll be appreciated.
Yes, sir.
You see. So go ahead, speak on that.
And what I wanted to key on specifically was respect. When we in a relationships, we got to start using more words like us. So we as men have to do that, because when you use words like me, I, a woman, it's automatic shield that comes up a lot of times, and it may bring about some contention, or she may view you as selfish. So one of the things that I had noticed, when I would run into these issues in the past, I would use words like we, you know what I'm saying? Because respect is like, respect is two ways, and I'm gonna break it down. So you can have a woman that respects you directly, right? Meaning when she's in your face, she's an angel. But then you have women that'll be that way, but they can disrespect you indirectly. What do I mean by that? Yeah, and most women, if she knows you're a good man, she's not gonna disrespect you directly. She's gonna do it indirectly. Right. And one of those ways of indirectly disrespecting your husband is simply denying, like we just talked about, you're denying sex, or we're not in an environment to where we're creating a situation where we want to have that with one another. Because it's a we thing. It's not an I thing when you're having sex. We both have to have that attraction to one another for that to happen. I got it. You know what I'm saying? So let me just land my plane real quick. When it comes to respect, she got to respect you directly and indirectly. One of the ways I've been disrespected in the past, is I come home to a dirty house, but everything else is taking a person to fly out the house to go take care of the world. But I come home to a dirty house. That's disrespectful to me. I come home, ain't no food on the stove, but everything else is taken care of outside of the house. That's disrespect. That's what you call indirect respect. If you dealing with a woman and y'all not having sex, that's indirect disrespect. Because why would you do that to us? Why would you disrespect us? If she publicly argues with you, or you say something, and we know when a man say something, it's law. But publicly, she like, nah, I don't believe in that. Or she go and have a side conversation with somebody else like, nah, I don't believe that. That's indirect disrespect. And at that point, you implement words like us. Like, why would you do that to us? Why would you disrespect us? Why would you not want to be intimate with one another? That's disrespecting us. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that respect go both ways, and you got to look out for the indirect disrespect.
Let me add to what you just said here, because y'all young and I need y'all to really understand it. Like I say, I talk to enough guys, and here's one of the things that will happen. A lot of times they will make themselves available to you, but mentally they're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
The body is there, but they're not there. So again, that is the pride. And I'm saying this on this channel because we're talking about relationships, and relationships involve a lot of things. And I wouldn't just necessarily have this type of conversation on any kind of forum or anything, but because this is the forum, we're going to talk about that. A woman will do a great disservice in her marriage for doing something like that. And let me tell you why. Because when a man feels your energy and then he sees that you're being withdrawn, a lot of people, again, they're not going to be traditional. They're not going to hold it down the way they should do, right? And so when a person has that modern mindset, and maybe even somebody that's traditional, it depends on who it is or whatnot. When they see that someone's pulling away from them or not being whole with them, and you're just there in body, but not, you're just there in body, but you're not there, you're not giving, then that's not good. And that's what you call, if you want to say anything, that's what you call bad sex. That's not good sexual intimacy with your partner. So your partner is actually pretty much saying that they don't realize they're saying. That woman is saying, hey, go somewhere else. And that's the way the man is going to be feeling. And he's liable to step out on you because he's not getting those things that he would prefer to get from you. But men and women should understand this. That's something that men actually need. See, a woman, she ovulates maybe once a month, but a man is producing things every single day. And those things need to be expelled. Right. So that's why it's a good thing for a man to have a wife. That way he ain't out doing some old kind of freaky stuff or whatnot. So, and that's just one of the things there. But, again, when it comes to emasculation, and, we know that there are several ways that a man can be emasculated by the opposite sex, you see, but the greatest emasculation is when it comes from his wife, because when you're out in the world and you're dealing with the world, say you might even have a female boss and she can be kind of rough, but if a man wants to maintain his job, he might have to deal with that bull that he's taking from the job. But when he comes home, he wants to be able to have that peace there. Do you see what I'm saying? Absolutely. So when things are deprived, that's another way of emasculation. Like I say, taking that affection away, being quiet all the time, like your roommates or whatever, you know, and not being present in sex and taking away that respect and replacing it with disrespect or whatnot. And a lot of times women just don't really understand the nature of men. And in a lot of cases, men don't understand the nature of women. But I advise anybody before they get into a relationship, whether you're a male or a female, you have to learn the nature of the opposite sex. That's just like a lot of guys might not know that the average woman, she's going to live in her emotions. But whereas the average guy or a good man, he should live in logic. If I asked anybody, whether it be a male or a female, if you were in a dangerous situation and you needed a person to guide you out of that situation, would you want a person that's in their emotions to guide you out of that situation? Or would you want somebody who's using logic to help guide you out of that situation? Come on now. And you know what answer I'm going to get every single time, unless somebody just being silly? I'm going to get logic. They want somebody who's going to use logic to get them up out of a bad situation into a better situation. And see, guys have to understand the emotions of a woman. And a lot of guys, they don't really understand that. A woman's emotions cannot be contained. Let's say this room is a swimming pool, right? It's got 4 walls, so it's contained, right? A woman's emotions are going to be more like the ocean. Ain't no walls that can contain it, so it's going to be wavy most of the time. You might have a woman that she loves this purse or this pair of pants or this shirt or whatever, right? These pair of shoes. And she loves it, right? So she buys it. But then when she gets home, maybe that same day or maybe a day or 2 days later, I don't know about these. And she's ready to take them back. You see what I'm saying? So those feelings sometimes just up and down. And that's the nature of a woman. But see, it's not that she lied. That's just like she might tell you that she's going to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she didn't end up doing it. I don't think it was her intention to lie. She didn't lie. She meant it then. It's just something changed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we also have to consider those particular things.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, and see, I had to grow into actually learning those things. So when I'm call myself trying to make myself better,
Right.
I also have to become more aware of the opposite sex.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because see, everybody is not going to be the same. Everybody's not going to have the same mindset,
Right.
and people have different mannerisms. So when you understand that a woman lives in her emotions, she might say she's going to do something and not do it. That don't mean she was just lying.
Mm-hmm.
That means something just changed.
Just changed. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I even had to learn that, man, you lie. No, not necessarily. Because again, women live in their emotions.
That's true.
And that's something that guys need to know when you get
remember
involved in a
that.
relationship.
We got to remember that.
And always keep that at the forefront of your mind. Now, I know we've been going on, but I need me to be quiet. And I need to listen to you young guys and give me some insight on what's going on with the younger people. See, I know the things that older people and younger people should be involved in and doing the things that they don't. But I want to see where y'all's head is at, especially you, because see, you're younger. You're younger, and a lot of times, a lot of guys in relationships don't even understand when they're being manipulated. But then sometimes it's the guy who's doing the manipulating with a woman. But when it comes to who's the queen of manipulation, it's going to be that woman, because they've been taught certain survival skills. Do you see what I'm saying?
I want to basically kind of touch on what you said like a few minutes ago when you spoke on energy. It's always good to have open communication, because that energy is always there, whether you want to deny it or not. You always gonna feel some type of vibe or energy, especially when you've been dealing with one another for such a long time. Like if I'm not mistaken, being around people, you pick up a certain kind of vibe and a certain kind of you notice a certain kind of pattern. You pick up a certain kind of pattern on like how they move on a day-to-day basis, and you notice that that pattern is off usually when something is wrong. You always can tell when some certain type of animosity is up in the air. That's why it's always good to communicate, because 9 times out of 10, like the person you're dealing with is gonna find out that something is off. And it's always good to come forward with your problems and your issue, talking, than just trying to sit there and let somebody figure it out, because can't nobody read a mind, but you can catch a vibe though, like.
Let me say this. Again, we're in the business of trying to help relationships. So that being said, is there anybody right now, by way of watching us right now on the internet, are there any questions? Because we definitely want to be able to take questions and give you some good, honest answers. Are there any questions that you might have right now? If so, go ahead and type something in by way of the internet. How long have we been going so far?
We about at
You
the
got other things you got to do?
Yeah, we about at the end of it. But we got Sister Nayari. She says, why do men / our brothers choose to date outside of Israel? Same as us sisters.
Same as the sisters?
Yeah.
Okay, let
Why
me
do
give
men
you.
and women in Israel choose to date outside of Israel? That's pretty much what she asked.
Are you referring to other races? Or just people
No.
that don't claim to be
People
Israel?
that don't know about the Most High. Why are we choosing to date? It could be another Hebrew that just don't know the truth. Why are we choosing this?
I'm going to say something, and again, I'm talking about most, not all. There's always going to be exceptions to the rules. I've been around for a lot of years. Like I say, I'll be 66 here with, what's this, April, this May, June, a couple of months. I'll be 66, praise the Most High Yah. And I've seen a lot, I've heard a lot. A lot of times it's because we would expect that a person knowing that they're Israel, we tend to want to expect more out of someone who's supposed to know the Creator and what the Creator expects from us. But if you know our history, even according to the scriptures, Israel has always been the most hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious people on the planet. And don't for 1 minute think just because we're Israel, our men and our women are going to be better than most. Because in a lot of cases, probably be worse. Probably be, and that's just the straight up truth about the matter. People are going to be people. And I believe the vast majority of people in the world are corrupt. That's a heck of a statement, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm not just talking about Israel. The vast majority of people in this world are corrupt. So you have to have a certain mindset in order to walk with the Almighty. I'd rather walk on the road that's less traveled myself. I don't want to be in with the crowds. And if I have to lose people because I want to be right or the better version of myself, and I'm not by any means saying I'm perfect, because like I always say, if I ever do be perfect, let the Almighty say it, because I sure won't. But my thing is, if I have to lose people in my life because I'm dedicated and I want the Almighty's mercy. I love living. I want to be the best version of me, not necessarily for somebody else. But I want to be the best version of me for me so that the Almighty see that's who I am or who I really want to be. And I'm hoping for the blessings. But if I lose anybody because I'm trying my best to be a better version, then that person didn't deserve to be in my company anyway, whether it's friends or whoever.
Period.
Because see, once I get older, I get wiser, and I understand, like I done said this a bunch of times, most likely, I have more years behind me than I have left in front of me. And so I understand that I'm only alive because of the Almighty's mercy. So when it comes to people choosing somebody else, it's probably because they feel like they've been let down so many times. I can actually say I've been let down a bunch of times by people that knew they were Israel. A bunch of times. Now, I'm not going to say that I didn't let anybody down, because when I was younger and I knew better, I didn't always do better.
True that.
But as I got older, the more I bumped my head and really didn't want to keep bumping my head, that's when I started realizing I got to make some changes.
Yeah.
Because it will get to a point to where as you get older, you get wiser. In my case, then you start to feel a little bit softer. And the reason I say that, because as a man, sometimes I can look back on something and my eyes will start to just glaze over, And that's when you know that you really want to be right, when you really feel away because you haven't been the better version of yourself. So I try to make reasons. I try to put things in place in order to intentionally be a better version of myself. I like to put things in place to remind me, even though I try to keep the Almighty at the forefront of my mind. I'm not by any means trying to say that I'm perfect, but I will say I'm really working on it. And if I ever make it, let the Almighty deem it again, because I won't. So I know that and the Almighty know I put certain things in place.
Right.
The Almighty know if I'm lying right now, if I'm really sincere about what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm not going to worry about somebody else. And if everybody took that approach, whether they be male or female, then we wouldn't necessarily go outside of trying to be with those that know that they're Israel. Because a lot of times, so a lot of our people don't even know what an Israelite is, right?
Yes.
They don't have a clue. You know, and when somebody say, that's a black Israelite, well, what other color are they? You see what I'm saying? A lot of times people really don't know certain things, you know. Who was that person? You know, that black guy that said he was an Israelite. Because a lot of times we'll see things on TV and they're all depicted as white, you know, and when a person writes a book or something, of course they're going to make the characters to look like them, you see. So, but I think that a lot of times people will even go outside of the color race because I'm going to say something, sister, and this is no offense to you, but this is just the truth. Because we've come from broken homes and a lot of, and you can go through 3 or 4 different generations of single mothers, right? It might be that this mother, she's single, but her mother was single and her mother's mother was single or something, or it ended up that way for one reason or another. And a lot of times we just haven't been taught well. We haven't been given good instruction on how to live together, how to be more loving of one another, how to be more caring, how to try to stick with your own, how to work things out. I think as the generations came up and we ended up with single parent households, which is abnormal. It's not, we call it normal now because we see it so often, right? But that's not a normal thing to see a single parent household, not unless somebody passed. But when you have a baby mama house, and I hate those terms, by the way, when you have baby mama house and baby daddy house, that's abnormal. That's not cool. It's not, because the child in the middle suffers. The child don't have the benefit of being raised by mom and dad in the same house. The rules, again, are different at baby mama house than they are at baby daddy's house. And I think that's an atrocity. It's not fair to the child. That's the reason we got to cut out all of these bull crap hookups, and we have to actually try to get more marriages in our communities. And unless people learn and want to be better and want to be right in the sight of our Creator, that's not going to happen, because habits are hard to break. And people have come into habits to where they're used to just hooking up. They're used to having, as this young fellow say, rosters and things, you know? Right. They're not used to just trying to be right in the sight of the Creator. But again, as we get older and we start to realize time is the one commodity that we just don't have enough of, then when we really start considering things, then that's when some people, not all, when some people will try harder to be a better version of themselves. But that's only for themselves. What if the other people aren't trying to be better versions? What if you have husbands and wives, but only the wife is trying to be better, but the husband's not? Or the husband trying to be right, but the wife's not? Because we always should be in a situation to where we're willing to learn. And when we learn better, shame on us if we don't do better. Right? But a lot of people are even going outside the race, and I'm going to tell you, from what I see and from what I understand, you can do the research. Our black women at this point are at the bottom of the totem pole for being chosen for marriage. But also our black women divorce at a higher rate than any other nationality. At a much higher rate. 70 to 80% of women, they are the ones who actually initiate divorce or walking away from a relationship or marriage. A man will stay in a marriage, especially when there's children involved, because he don't want to leave his children. And in most cases, when that actually happens and it goes to a court, that woman is awarded those children that should actually be with the father. Even in Deuteronomy chapter 24, go to Deuteronomy 24. We got to go over this one more time. It talks about when a man, he no longer wants to be with this woman because he's found some uncleanliness. He gives her a bill of divorcement and put it in her hand, and she leaves his house and she can go be another man's wife. The Almighty didn't say she take those children. Those children are supposed to stay with that father. And then, Kim, you brought something up that made sense to me as well, because there actually is, in these modern times, should I say, in this land, when a man becomes what they call a stepfather, when he's taking on other children, and I'm not bashing stepfathers because I've been one, there's no real reward in there at that time. Now, I'm sure the Almighty will bless that man for his efforts, right? But when you have those children, and you ain't my real daddy, and they don't treat you right, and I know guys who've been in that type of situation, including myself, it's not a good thing. So we have to learn just how to be better. And the only way we can do that is to start fixing our relationships, right? People got to stop being so quick to walk away from their relationship. The Almighty's the third chord in that marriage. And he done already said, look, I don't want to hear it was a mistake. So people need to learn how to work their issues out. They need to learn how to start re-loving one another. But a lot of times we don't do that because we don't know how to, and I'm saying we as a people, we don't know how to love ourselves. And if an individual don't know how to love themselves, then ain't nobody else got nothing coming. That's just like if I won't be honest with me, ain't nobody else got nothing coming. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Respond to that.
Nah, man, you hit it on the head. It says, I'm grateful I was chosen by my husband. This is Anastasia Yehuda. I'm grateful I was chosen by my husband, but he died. And I don't want to marry again. When it's my time, I will join him again in the kingdom. Wow, that's a valiant sister, for sure.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
But nah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I commend all the stepfathers out there, man. You know, y'all special. For real, you know. I had a best friend I grew up with in high school. She was more like she was my friend, like, you know, but she had told me her father wasn't there, but she had a stepfather growing up. And she said she was more of a father to her than her actual father was. So, you know, stepfathers, man, if I was in charge of society, there would definitely be an incentive for stepfathers, for sure. Absolutely. Because we need more of them. Because it's a lot of times children can lose their fathers by the sword. A lot of children's fathers are on drugs. And Almighty tell us to be to actually judge the father, to stand up for the fatherless and plead for the widow. So we did have, and within our society, we had systems set in place to make sure that the children was always looked after. You know what I'm saying? If something befell that father, or if a man had a brother, and that brother died and he never got to go into that wife, or he never had a seed by that wife, then that next of kin, that brother, he would have the obligation to come in and build his brother's house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And make sure that name is not wiped out under the sun. So we had, you know, shout out to all the stepfathers and everybody standing up and taking on those loads and those burdens, to make sure just for being a team player, man. Like, too many of us are not team players nowadays, man. Everybody out for themselves, and we just need more team players. Praise God.
I need to say this because in marriage, a lot of men are feeling, and when I talk to people and they tell me their situations and whatnot, I try to keep that noted, but I don't want to, you know, talk about the names or anything like that. But a lot of men in marriage are feeling lonely, and I'm talking about black men, all right? And I'm talking about some that know that they're Israel and some that they don't know. But, you know, I'm running my mouth to a lot of different people. But in marriage, a lot of men are feeling lonely. They're feeling trapped. They're feeling unappreciated and sad. They're feeling unimportant. They're feeling like they let themselves down because they keep dealing with mistreatment. You know, they feel intolerated and not appreciated. And this is coming from black women. These guys are with black women. They feel like dealing with black women who don't show empathy. and not taking responsibility for their actions, but always being defensive when the guys try to talk to them about what's going on or how they're feeling in the relationships. Again, there's letting know how a lot of the women are holding out on sex and having little to no emotion when they are being intimate with them. And I see a consistency there. So, do you have any idea why that might be? Because you sound like a good woman here, especially from what you just read here. Sound like a really, really good woman. And a lot of times I tell guys they have to take their time and learn about who the woman is before they rush into a situation by having conversations, getting to know one another. Like I try to tell them at this point, don't rush in trying to be intimate in a relationship. Give it some time, because as a person learn, then they need to start implementing those things they learn. We can't let our lust and our desires take over, because a lot of times you might jump into a situation before you should and actually create a child, but the relationship don't work out, and then there you have mother, mama, baby, what you call baby mama and baby daddy, and it never turns into what it should actually be, which is a marriage. Because we as people just don't tend to be patient enough. And I think a friendship should always be established before a person just jump into a physical relationship, because what happens then if you start having issues, you don't have anything to remember what brought you together in the first place other than your lust.
True that. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I think the brothers and the sisters, we just all have to start wanting to do better. And then not just want to do better, start doing better. Start making it a point to score some brownie points with the Most High by deliberately and willfully wanting to do better.
Praise y'all.
Well, then say, read that for me.
Anastasia Yehuda says, my husband proved me for 7 years, and he watched me transform into truth and change all the way.
Praise the mighty Yah. That's a testimony. So I know we've been at this a long time, and I know a lot of times people don't like a long podcast or thing. They like something for a few minutes, but I get long-winded because when I talk about things that I'm passionate about, I have to be mindful that a lot of times people ain't gonna watch the whole thing, because I've had people tell me they had to watch it in segments, and it'd be good, but I assure you, I've only gotten positive feedback. So that's a testament, man. I appreciate all the things you do, because you help people out and you get out. You got probably about 4, 5, 6 different podcasts that you do.
Yeah.
So I know you're a busy man.
Praise God.
You're a busy man, but long as we can get positive information out to the people, I'm with that. And I'm sincerely passionate about really trying to do what I can do to try to help people have much better relationships just by giving them information, that I think that would be relevant in helping, but it's up to the individuals that hear to make the changes that they may need to make in order to have better relationships. And again, hoping that those relationships turn into a marriage if in fact they're not already married.
Beautiful.
So we got anything else, y'all?
No, sir. So I'll be having I don't got no questions for them. I better say I don't got a lot of questions at all. Because I'm still being young, so I'm still experiencing relationships. Like me being young right now myself, I don't really, pursue no relationships. Of course I'm still a guy and I'm gonna, be a man, but as far as a long-term relationship, I don't really.
I got to interrupt you for a minute. What you mean? Of course, you're still gonna be a man. Are you talking
I'm
about
still attracted to women? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but that are you gonna abstain from trying to be physical? I don't want to have both of them going.
Oh yeah,
because see, we want to be right in the sight of the Almighty. Because see, that's what counts.
Definitely,
that's what counts.
It wasn't like saying that. I'm still saying, I'm still attracted to females. That's all I was saying. But the reason of me not being focused on a relationship is because I want to work on myself for the side of the Most High. I feel like the Most High will send me my way a woman to stay with and marry when I'm ready and done working on myself. That's why I'm not pursuing that.
Let me say this, fellas and ladies. Working on self is a lifelong journey. We will never get to the point to where we can say that I'm at my absolute best. See, we're not at our absolute best until we, like I say, if I'm continually trying and I'm still trying when I meet my fate, whenever that might be, then I can say I was at the best that I was going to be at that particular time. But I do believe that working on oneself is a lifelong journey, and it took me a while to really start understanding those things. Because when you're young, in my case, when I was young, a lot of things I didn't even consider. I had to start bumping my head before I even really started considering things, right? But when you want the pain and the discomfort to stop, for me, that made me start considering. And not only consider, I had to make some changes. And when you realize that the changes are going to be for the better, then in my case, I got to keep them going. Like the thing that I said with those, everybody don't know about this, but I ain't gonna pull them out. But you see, I still got them stones in my pockets right now. When I get dressed, they go with me. I got some little. He know what I'm talking about. He know what I'm talking about. I got little stones that I carry with me on a regular basis, just as little reminders. So, but anything that we can do to help ourselves improve to where we're being better, should I say, in the sight of the Almighty, but willfully. It's got to be willfully. See, if we're doing something just trying to fake it to gain some brownie points from the Almighty, that in itself, that's that's a detriment. You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna implement some things, it's got to be because we really want to be the best version of self and be in the way of life and longevity. Hallelujah. I appreciate anybody that was tuned in with us here today. And I hope that a lot of people start to pass what they get, just pass it around, share it with people, talk about some of the things that we talk about with other people, find out where people's heads are. But most of all, before you get involved in any relationship, those that are watching, please have conversations. Don't let your lust run things. Don't do that.
Praise y'all.
Because again, we already talked about what a whore is and what a whoremonger is, and you can't have a whore without a whoremonger.
True that.
So that being said, thank you so much for viewing this podcast, and for those that might view it in the future. Try to create great, long-lasting relationships that are ending in marriage. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next podcast. Hallelujah.